Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian and today I am going to be doing the Finally Fall book tag. So I'm not 100% sure who created this tag, but if I find them I will leave the original video linked down below. So this tag is all about fall, which is one of my favorite seasons. It is a very close second to winter. Winter has always been my favorite season, but fall, I just love the fall vibes. I love the leaves changing colors. I love the weather starting to get a little bit colder. I love wearing sweaters and drinking hot drinks, you know, pumpkin spice lattes. I just love the aesthetics of fall. We love it. So yeah, so without further ado, let's just get started with the questions. These prompts are pretty long, so I'm going to be reading them from my computer, but the first prompt is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. So the book that I am going to go with is one I read recently, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. If you guys don't know, I absolutely loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I read it for the Winers Book Club, which is a book club that I am a part of with some of my friends here on BookTube. Some people really hated this book, but I really loved it. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars. It's one of my favorite reads of the year. The book was just so atmospheric. I loved Donna Tartt's writing in this book. I was just transported back in time to whenever this book took place, 1980s, 1990s, something like that. It was just, and part of this book takes place in fall, so I think this is the perfect fall book to read because not only does part of it take place in fall, but like dark academia, I feel like, you know, you got some murder. It's like the perfect Halloween-y type book, I guess. I don't know, but if you guys don't know, basically this book is about this guy named Richard, and he moved to Vermont from California, I think, and he joins this Greek class at his school, and basically this Greek class is very secluded from the rest of the school. There's only like 5 or 6 students in this class, and they have the same teacher for the whole year for all their classes. So he gets very close with this group of people in his class, and then lots of things happen, including murder, and I don't want to talk too much about the plot because I think it's best going into this book not really knowing what's going on, but I absolutely loved this book. I just loved the fall vibes. So yeah, so the second prompt is, nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. So the book that I decided to go with for this prompt is When Breath Becomes Air by Kalanithi. I read this book a couple months ago, I think, and this book absolutely broke my heart. Oh my gosh, I had never heard of this book before this year, but I was reading it for a book club that I am no longer a part of. That's a whole other story. But this book is a nonfiction, and it is written by Kalanithi, who was a neurosurgeon, and when he was in his 30s, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And so he wrote this book. The first half of this book is basically about his life and his job as a neurosurgeon, and he talks about some of the patients he saw, and it was so interesting. Like when I read this, I thought it would be very like science-y, and I thought I wouldn't really understand what was going on, but he explained his job so well. His writing was so good, and I found it so interesting to read about his job. And then the second half of the book is basically him talking about when he was diagnosed with cancer and what his life was like after that, how that affected his job and his marriage, and oh my gosh, this book broke my heart. So this isn't a spoiler because it's nonfiction, but he actually died before he finished writing the book. So at the end of the book there is an epilogue written by his wife, and when I read that I cried so much. The way she talked about his last days, and it was so heartbreaking, especially because since you read the whole book from Paul himself up until that point, like you learn to love him so much, and then hearing about his health deteriorating and then eventually dying from his wife who also loved him very much, like oh my god, it broke my heart so much. But I thought the book was beautifully written, and I would highly recommend it. Unless detailed descriptions about grief, if that's gonna bother you, then maybe don't read this book, but if you can handle it, I think everyone should read this book because yeah, I really loved it. So the next prompt is fall is back to school season, share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. So I know I just mentioned a nonfiction book, but another nonfiction book that I want to talk about is White Rage by Carol Anderson. I read this a few months ago also, and this book is about the history of systemic racism in America, and I'm Canadian, so I didn't learn too much American history in school, so I knew even less about this than most Americans, but from what I've heard from American reviewers, that the stuff that's in this book, like, they also weren't taught about in school. So I thought this was really educational, really eye-opening, because it just shows how, like, the stuff you learn in school is very whitewashed and they don't really tell you about what really happened. So I thought this was a great nonfiction book to read. I would recommend this to everyone, not just Americans, because I think it's important to learn this stuff, the history all over the world, not just where you live. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Okay, so the next prompt is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family, household, friend group that you'd like to be a part of. So the family, I chose to do a family. The family that I chose is the March sisters in Little Women. I would love to be a March sister. This family is amazing. I mean, obviously all these sisters, they have their faults, but I just love their dynamic and I would love to be a part of this family. You got Joe, you got Meg, you got Amy, and you got Beth, and I would just love to have sisters like this. I've always wanted a sister. I only have a brother, which he's pretty cool, but I've always wanted a sister, and I think it would be really fun to be part of this house, especially with Marmee. She's awesome too. Like, I think it would just be so fun, like I've said a million times, to be a part of this house. Do I need to explain what Little Women is about? It's about 4 sisters during the 1800s, and it's mostly about Joe, who wants to be a writer, and I don't know what else to say about this book. I feel like everyone knows what this is about, but yeah, I would love to be a March sister. The next prompt is, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. First of all, I don't know if you can hear the wind outside, but it's so windy today, so I'm sorry if that is annoying. So I did collect some books with fall-colored spines, and I might have gotten too many, but we're gonna try to hold these up, so bear with me. Okay. So this is my stack of fall-colored spines. This is pretty heavy, mostly because of Crescent City, but you know, you got, let's see, hold on. So I added Little Women to the pile. I also have The Martian by Andy Weir, Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, Where Dreams Descend by Janelle Angeles, Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, and Crescent City at the bottom by Sarah J. Maas. So I wanted to add, oh my gosh, hold on. I wanted to add some brown colored spined books, but I realized I don't really have many, so I mostly went for red, orange, and like, well, dark red, you know. Anyways, I think this is a good fall colored stack. Okay, so the next prompt is, fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. So I realized I haven't read too many books that are like a book within a book, you know. I know there's a lot of books like that, but I guess I haven't really read them, so this might be a bit of a stretch. But the book that I went with is Sadie by Courtney Summers. This book is about, so this book is kind of told from 2 different perspectives. You have Sadie's story, and Sadie is basically trying to find her sister's killer. Her sister, I think it was like a few months ago at this point in the book, but she basically makes it her mission to find the man who killed her sister. And then we also have the perspective of this guy who hosts a podcast, and Sadie has gone missing because she's trying to find her sister's killer, so he is trying to find out what happened to Sadie. So I guess it is like you have Sadie's story, but you also have the guy who hosts this podcast who is telling Sadie's story kind of and trying to figure out where she went, and he's also uncovering some stuff about her sister's murder. So it's kind of a story within a story, I guess. This is the best I can do, but this was a really good book and I highly recommend it if you like murder mysteries and stuff. Oh, and also I heard the audiobook for this book is great. I haven't listened to the audiobook, but I heard that the podcast element of the audiobook is great, so if you can, listen to the audiobook because apparently it's good. Okay, so the next prompt is the nights are getting darker, share a dark creepy read. So I'm actually going to talk about the book that I'm reading right now. So I haven't finished this book yet, but it's called Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris, and this book is probably the most creepy book I've ever read. Like, I don't tend to read super creepy books because I get scared very easily, but I didn't really know what to expect with this book. I knew it was like a mystery thriller, but this book is wild, so I won't give away too much of the plot because I think it's best to go into this not really knowing anything. But basically, this book follows this couple, Jack and Grace, and they are newlyweds, and they are seen as like the perfect couple. They are basically inseparable. They spend all their time together, and when they are together, they're just very affectionate with each other, and you know, their friends are kind of jealous of their relationship. But there's more than meets the eye with this couple, and as you read more, you kind of find out more about their relationship, and this book is so creepy, oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely trigger warning for animal death in this book. I was not prepared for that, so you have been warned. But I mean, this book is really good so far. I can't wait to see how it ends, but yeah, this book is definitely really creepy. That's all I'll say. So the next prompt is the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. So I obviously had to go with The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. This is definitely very short. You could definitely read this in like half an hour, 45 minutes, probably less, I don't know. But this book is so wholesome, it is so cute, and it is a graphic novel, and the illustrations in this are just stunning and adorable. Like, I love these little tea dragons. Like, it's just so beautiful. I love it so much. I remember when I read this, I was feeling really, really anxious, and then I read it and it just made my heart so happy, and I just love this book so much. It's basically about this world where there are tea dragons, and basically if you make tea from the leaves that grow on their antlers and drink that tea, then you can kind of see the memories of these tea dragons, and it's just so wholesome. And also this series has amazing representation. Like, I've read this book and the Tea Dragon Festival, and the third one is coming out at the end of this month, which I'm so excited about. But you have a male-male romance, you have a female-female romance. In the second book there is a non-binary character. In this book you have a character in a wheelchair. In the second book there is a deaf character. There's just, there's such great representation, and I love it so much. And yeah, I recommend this book to literally everyone. Like, I don't see how anyone could read this book and not smile. It's so good, and I feel like it's a good fall read also, but yeah. So the next prompt is fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. So the next book is perfect because this book is actually on my October TBR, and that is Percy Jackson by Riordan. If you guys saw my October TBR, I am supposed to be reading this in October. My reading hasn't been super great this month so far, so hopefully I can still get to this, but I'm really excited to revisit this. This was my favorite series when I was like 12, 13, and I haven't really read it since then, so I'm excited to reread this series, especially since there's going to be a TV show on Disney Plus. I'm so excited because I know that since Rick is involved, he's gonna do us all proud. So yeah, I'm so excited to reread this. Okay, and the last prompt is fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. So I love to create a vibe when I'm reading, especially in my room, so I have a lot of candles. I recently bought a lot of fall themed candles from Bath and Body Works, but I love them. We love a vibe. So I usually light a candle. As you can see, I have fairy lights in my room, so I usually light those. Well, I don't light them, but I turn them on. Oh yeah, and I have a weighted blanket on my bed that I always have on me when I go to sleep, so I just love feeling, you know, that weight on me. Makes me feel safe, and so I love to have that and have a candle burning and have my fairy lights on. I also like turning on my little pumpkin lights. You can't really see in the day that they light up, but I love turning those on, and yeah, I just love feeling cozy in my bed and reading. And in an ideal world I would also have like some coffee or hot chocolate, but usually I read at night and coffee is not the best at night. But yeah, so that's it for the Finally Fall book tag. I don't really know who to tag because I'm not sure who has done this already, so if you haven't done it already and you want to do it, then I tag you. Let me know your favorite fall activities or fall themed accessories. I know it's kind of hard to do a lot of our favorite fall activities right now, but let me know your favorite thing about fall or your favorite fall vibey book. I would love to know. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!